Okay, GFPE CV is back, and I'm proud to introduce Marvillous Beats. How you doing, my man? You well?
Yo, I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing. Just happy to be here. I was looking forward to this interview after checking out you know all your other interviews, including of course 39. So it was
Thank
dope.
you. Thank you. Before we actually get into your music, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're actually from?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I'm from New Rochelle, New York. I was born in the Bronx. Did all my growing up in New Rochelle, New York. Currently in Maryland. So basically I'm a hip hop violinist, a music producer, audio engineer, and just an all around artist.
When did you when did you become involved with music? Was it at a very young age? And a second question to carry on, was your family musical?
Yeah, I definitely got into music at a young age. My dad, he had a history of doing percussion and background vocals in Jamaica. That's where my parents are from, Jamaica. And my mom, just in like her secondary school and like high school, she dabbled with like tuba and like trombone and stuff like that.
That's
And
cool.
I started getting into music a lot when I was about 7 years old. When first picked up playing the violin. And my older sister, she was playing violin first. I thought it was cool, so I was like, let me try it.
So that was your first intro, really? You went straight into the violin at that age?
Yeah, yeah. I was really young. I was about 7 years old. She was maybe 8 or 9 at the time, and we both kind of started at the same time.
When was the progression then?
Mhm.
Did you become? Obviously, we are, it's a culture. We're all involved in this culture of hip hop, and we love it.
Facts,
And
facts.
nowadays, it's quite broad based. It's a big spectrum. So when
Hmm.
was you first kind of involved in something that you wanted to actually produce and put out?
Oh man, okay, that's a great question. So violin was something I did. Uh, some friends at school knew me for, but a lot didn't. It was kind of a thing that was kind of in the background. So my brother, who you interviewed not so long ago, Len Lama,
Yep.
he was kind of the first one who brought like New York rap into like the house for real. And that kind of started me really getting into hip hop. And I started just like every other kid. I only listened to what was on Billboard or TV. And then it wasn't until I got to like middle school and talked to my friends in school, they talking about all these other artists like the golden era hip hop that I had to learn and get accustomed to. So I kind of caught the bug along with my brother Kalen, aka Len Lama, and we started just making just pretty much bullshit demos in the house on the family computer. You know what I mean? So it was cool though, man. It was a great experience. We would do it in the most bootstrapped way. We would just like kind of layer Windows media players on top of each other in the screen, and like on one layer, I'd bang on the table to make like a beat, kind of hum, even a melody, and then it would be Boogie, James, aka Boogie, and then Llama and me just rapping on the next couple layers to like make
Yeah.
a song, and that was like my first ever experience, and we must have been like I don't know 10, somewhere between 10 and 11, maybe like 9,
Wow.
10, 11. Yeah, we were really it was really young, but we were dabbling with the technology side, or more so it was me, and I kind of just like MacGyvered it so we could at least try something of a what I'm saying,
It-
just something of a record, you know what I'm saying? So it was like they were really the catalyst for real, who kind of like inspired me to be like, yo, I can probably get us to like, I know enough of this computer. We could probably get us a little demo going, and we did, and it was crazy. And then like not too long after that, I got more into like but it was interesting. I was more obviously rapping and engineering. Like
yeah.
producing was never really part of the equation. Not yet. Not in these years, these formative years. And my friend across the street, my bro Jay Quan, he put me on to Cool Edit Pro. So this program was like the first DAW I ever used. Cool Edit Pro 2, actually, I remember it. So it was my first digital audio workstation that I ever had in my entire life. And he brought it over on like a
Wow.
CD. And I put it in like the family computer and then like installed the program and everything. I must have been like 13, like 12 or 13. And I remember, yeah, I was like, okay, now this is like a robust thing here that I could really get down. So like, I didn't know anything about hardware, of course. So I'm literally just using my laptop microphone, hitting record, and we're making records. You know what I'm saying, with the So it's funny because we still had like the track is playing in the background, so you can hear the track all over the vocals. So as far as like a mix, it was horrendous, but it was like it was just enough
But
that
you
we
was
needed to
proud
put
of
something
it at the
together, man.
time.
Of course, I thought it was the dopest thing in the world, man. You kidding me?
Do
And
you still
it's
have
funny
access
because
to that?
other people liked it too. So we were like in middle school maybe, so like literally 12 and 13, but we had a decent amount of people in like our neighborhood who would know our songs, and we put together this song, this group. We had brought in one of our homegirls. Her name is Mimi, so she was like the girl rapper of the group too.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like this is real young. We had a group called NIP set, so it's basically a double of NWA. It was instead of niggas with attitude, we was niggas in purple because our high school colors was purple.
Football.
So we went with NIP set, and it was funny because at that age, you don't know what you're doing. But I didn't realize what we were doing was creating a brand. Like it was
For
actually
sure.
working. It was crazy.
For
But
sure.
that's my first experience with like making a record. You know, saying no violin and no beats, no original beats at least. Like other than the banging on the table, of course. But yeah, man.
You was kind of then really. You've come through at a golden age where technology has been at the forefront of enabling
Oh,
new artists to
yo,
come through and do
that's a
something and
fact, man.
produce.
I grew up. I'm so fortunate to have grown up as a youth, like literally from 0 to 10. 'Cause I was born in '91, so like literally 0 to 10 is right there. We going from cassettes. I seen the butt end of that. I
Yeah.
seen the CDs. I seen the DVDs. I saw dial-up internet. I saw dial-up internet turn into Wi-Fi. Like my generation is this like the older edge of the millennials, I guess. Like we've
Yeah.
seen some interesting shit when it comes to
Yeah.
technology,
For sure.
and like you know, it's kind of funny. We'll probably get to this point a little later, talking about the culture of producers who like it's usually the old heads versus the younger heads, and oh, we used to have to carry our crates, and you guys just have iPods, you know what I'm saying, and that kind of
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Oh, we have analog equipment, we had to sit there and turn things and patch things, and you guys have plugins. So it's like
It's so much
I
easier
get it
now.
because I've seen it all and I get it, and even I've had to adapt. Even though I'm not like super old, I'm only 31 in a couple of months. I'm not super old, but like I remember when it was like extremely hard to find, even on the internet, it was hard to find custom good sounds. And like now,
Yeah.
it's like you can't
Everywhere.
look at your email without a producer or a company sending you some quality sounds. It's
And
crazy, man.
they do as well, don't they? For free, they just fly out. They're in my email every
It's
day.
crazy, man. So like I said, even for me, who like I came after the real, you know, caveman version really of producing, where you got big ass MPCs and the big $1 million studios. I'm over here with a simple laptop and some internet access,
Yeah.
and but it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So
Has,
yeah,
has that
yeah.
saturation of beats being available made it more difficult to actually get your craft out and get it noticed?
I think definitely it has, but I was very smart in changing my approach, of course, and the strategies I used back in the day, even like the websites I used back in the day, I'm not using those anymore.
Yeah.
But I've been fortunate though. There's definitely, obviously, crazy saturation right now, but you just gotta get smarter with targeting your audience, and that's what it is right now. It's more so about, okay, you can't just throw something out and hope a whole bunch of people come look for it. You actually got to package it a little bit, put the right word in, a little bit of the right visuals, the right feeling, and then direct it to who likes your specific type of sound, type of
For
beats. You know
sure.
what I'm saying? So it just kind of challenges the producer a little bit. But I don't think the saturation is like killed the market or anything like that, because beyond a few quality sounds, you got to actually put a record together at the end of the
Yeah.
day. So it's like the cream of the crop's going to rise anyway.
You touched upon then about the emotion and the setting of the track. That's something that really comes
Mhm.
through in your music, and again, it's a very broad spectrum of music that you're actually putting out. Can you touch on
Thank you.
Can you touch on your actual what you're actually doing musically, where you're at? I mean, you must have like a compartmentalized what tracks, what style, what genre that you're working on at a current time.
That's a great question. I guess what my current direction is of music. I think one thing that I'm attracted to, obviously, is like just really beautiful
Money.
melodies. Money too, of course. So of course, it's not. I'm not in my mom's basement no more, just cranking out a bunch of random beats. Now I have to like, develop something for a specific artist, or now I have the chilled violin, so it's got to have certain elements that fit into chilled violin, and I still do soundtrack stuff, so that's got to have a certain flow and energy and match to a visual presentation. So, I mean, I think I have my voice. My artistic voice is like this very lush
Yeah,
um, sound that's very kind of it leans more to like epic. You can kind of like feel it more in like movies and video games and that kind of stuff, commercials. But I like to kind of take that energy where some people would say it's more soundtrack and kind of make it more commercial, and kind of
yeah,
fit more into 4 bar looped beats
yeah.
and things like that. So,
One that shone for me in particular was On the Rocks and Sanity, by the way. Both of those
oh
tracks actually
man,
got
thank
me.
you.
I listen to them quite often, actually. You've also
Oh man,
you,
I appreciate
you've
that.
also ventured into you've done like the Christmas music with violin, like you've done Noel
Yeah,
and things like that, haven't you? Yeah, that's quite a cool
yeah,
move.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
Thank you.
again?
I
Is that just
appreciate
a
that, man.
is that a commercial thing where um, you're in a position where you can dictate yourself what you're doing because of the talent that you have regarding you've got a classically violin that you can play amazingly, and then you move
Thank
right
you.
across to hip hop. So you're now at a point where I'm guessing that you focus on your music. You haven't got a 9 to 5. Your 9 to 5 is your music, full stop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been 9 to 5 music for, man, since I actually can't believe it's been this long, but it's been about 5 years now, half a decade, where I've been just music 100%. You know, paying bills and making ends meet. So it's literally been a dream for real, honestly. And I just try to stay creative and stay progressive and just always learning, always sharpening my tools. And and I also keep my karma in check. You know what I'm saying? I always do right by everybody I service, all the clients I work with. You know what I mean? So that's really
So you're a
important to me.
humble dude then.
I guess
Stay
you could say that.
humble.
I mean, everybody says that. You know what I'm saying? I definitely have my sides. Like I know, like I respect everybody. You know what I'm saying? But
I think that's what's
as
changed in the
time,
industry.
yeah, I know which is good. It's good if you ask me. Because just because of how, just because the internet, like we were talking about, it's the level, the playing field is so level, and now everything is so much smaller. Everybody knows everybody,
Yeah.
so if you're a jerk off, like people are gonna know
Yeah,
pretty
you're
fast.
done. You're finished. One thing that you have done, well, more than one thing you've done, that I'm absolutely blown away with, opening for Slick Rick, one of my all-time favorite
Oh
artists.
my
I
god,
absolutely,
whew,
what was that like?
man. All right, so yeah,
Rick the
that
Ruler.
story is pretty wild, man. It was that was all part of a crazy run, and shout out to this MC named Intelligence. Yeah, she's fire. She's fire. She's fire. And just a really actually an interesting person overall, like a ex-military vet and things like that. Just a super interesting person, and I met her when I was playing violin on the street, way before any of this stuff, and even before that Slick Rick opportunity that she alley hooped for me.
Yeah.
She was always trying to help me, exposing me to like really cool things like open mics, these late night open mics and stuff like that. Like we took a trip back home up to from Maryland to NYC and a few in DC that I didn't even know about. She took me to, and like I remember just one day she was just like, "Hey, I got this opportunity to open up for Slick Rick," and saying she wanted me to be on her part of her set,
Yeah.
playing violin with her song. So I went and I met, it was crazy. I didn't expect to, but I met Redman that night too. You know what I'm saying? Slick Rick, Buckshot, a whole bunch of people,
Oh,
man. It was crazy, man. It was crazy. So
Behind
yeah, that
Bars, my
experience was
favorite
dope.
album.
Facts, facts. I hear
Favorite
that.
album. I love Behind Bars. One of my all-time favorite albums. So opening for Slick Rick,
Okay.
that's got to be something of a monstrous moment. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
well
man.
done.
It was seeing Slick Rick. Also, his team is really cool. Like his wife is part of his management and stuff like that. And there's all nice people. So real cool people. So I appreciated that as well. But yeah, just an overall awesome experience, man. I mean, I got to actually be beside a few legends in this game. It's been a dream. Like I keep saying, it really has.
And Rakim as well.
Yeah, and Rock him, and that was an awesome situation. And actually, the same girl, Intel, she put me on, opening with her at that Rock him show, and I got to hang out. Like I say, hang out. Like it was just me, Rock him, and my fiance in his dressing room, like a nice chunk of time, like 15 minutes
That's
before his
crazy.
set. And we're just kicking and talking. He's just such a humble, cool dude. And literally from that conversation in the dressing room, we just walks out from there and goes straight on stage. And I'm just like, yo, we really just chill with Rock. I'm looking at her. I'm looking at my fiance. Like, yo, I don't even think you realize what just happened. Like, this is.
Did she know? Was she like kind of like a bit blown away, or did she take it
Oh,
in stride?
she definitely heard of him, but when she went back, later and did more looking up on internet, she's like, "Wait, I was in the same room as this guy." I'm like, "Yeah, yo." Facts, facts. So no, that was awesome, man. And like, I remember I got footage on my phone too. I didn't notice. I don't know, probably because that's just showing my youth, but I didn't know Rakim could cut on DJ on records. Like he could like
Yeah.
cut and do something like loop and stuff like that. So like there's a point in his set where he was doing that. I'm right, in the stage crowd, just like recording him. Just he was mixing it. He was doing like a kind of like a round robin with another DJ. His DJ. It was dope, man. It was dope. I was like, damn, I didn't know Rakim could do that. So that was
That's
dope.
cool. That's cool. When did
Yeah.
you kind of make the move with your brother Len Lama and Jesse James Scott to go into having your own label, Third and Ninth?
Oh man, that was an interesting time. It was around 2013 when I actually was just about to move from New York, New Rochelle, New York, to out here, Maryland, to go pursue my architecture degree at the University of
Yeah.
DC. And at the time, we had a larger group actually called Inspiration and Innovation, I&I for short. And what basically was happening was a lot of people were starting to grow into their talents outside of music. So we had like our homie Johnny Force, who was always into photos and into cars and loves cars, but he told he really wanted to focus on that. And we had Johnny Lovelace, who's another songwriter, but he was also a really eclectic fashion designer.
Yeah.
He would take recycled kind of like old donated stuff and make new really cool everything from teddy bears to hats. So he wanted to go pursue that. And like even though they all were still kind of down to the music, there was just a specific way that I kind of wanted to do the music where it's um more kind of like commercially ready,
Yeah.
like not very less freestyly. And I wanted to have like structured record. It was like, yo, we could put this out and like stream off of it. And at that time, that was I was so focused on. So if you weren't specifically on that path, I was just like, all right, so respectfully, so we could remain friends, we should just let y'all do y'all. And then people like Len Lama and Jesse Scott, who really want to focus on the music specifically, and were down for really approaching it in a more professional fashion. I was like, let's just kind of bring it into a newer group that's more focused on specifically the music, and that turned out to be 39 Records.
How's it going, Third and Ninth?
I
How's it
think it's
going?
going well. It's going dope because it's growing in such a way I never thought it would. At first, I always thought that because we were all such close friends, like this is gonna be a rap group. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But then I started, seeing how we're developing. I was like, no, this is more of like a lifestyle, like a label, like, you know what I mean? And I started to realize, like, okay, we can all do what we do and just still kind of collab and help each other, which is what we do a lot on the back end, as
Yeah.
far as like sharing administrative duties and actually having an LLC and just really small things that keep us still united in what we're doing as individual entities. And we still have like tons of music that we've like started on, things, ideas that we're cooking up, still. And just I think we're kind of like working towards this big kind of aha moment. It just kind of feels like that's what's about to happen, and we're just like,
Is that a
okay,
movie? Is that a
yeah.
movie in the making? That
You know
moment.
what? I'm not even gonna say no, because knowing how we do, man. Anything's possible, man. Anything's possible. And we're always there for each other, which is more important through the ups and downs. So beyond a label and a lifestyle group. It's like really a family. It's like it's friends,
There's a
family for real.
media there's a media company really within Third and Ninth Records with the videography as well, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely, and like
All
that's
bases
kind of
covered.
what. Right, that's what I mean. And it's dope. That's what I'm saying. Like it became so much bigger than like, okay, let's be this rap group that makes professional style, commercial music. It was like, nah, this is like a brotherhood, an independent label, a lifestyle curator, a media company, and just an overall inspirational entity. You know what I mean?
Have you resisted the temptation? Did you find it easy to resist to go out and start signing artists and go, oh, that artist is dope, this artist is dope, sign, sign, sign? Has that been an issue
It's
where you
funny.
decided between the three of you and not going to approach it that way?
We've had so many. We literally had conversations about that all the time. I mean, all the time. And I think like we were all down for it. Of course, it has to be the right situation, the right
Yeah,
artist, and of course, I want to make sure that when we get to a point where there's a balance sheet, that everybody's okay. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So just to be real, I don't want to just like be like, okay, this is like a dream we're not really putting together for real. Like I really want to make a really a healthy business, a healthy label. So it's some figuring out to do. But we're all super open to it, and like we still collaborate. Don't get it twisted. We still collaborate with all kinds of artists, as you could probably see. Like Jesse definitely has other producers and features of singers and songwriters that he works
yeah.
with. And obviously you see Len, his catalog is crazy with all the artists that he's
Talented
worked
dude,
with and shot for. Yeah, yeah, man, it's
very
crazy.
talented guy,
And
very.
you have myself who I've had everything from people in the community who I've done their family events for to a few major label artists that I've worked with as well. And it's I think I like that fluidity for us a lot because we're so eclectic and we're so when it comes to our creations we're so extrovert and
Yeah.
so it just works. But I stopped being so worried. I wasn't really ever worried, but I was always trying to be I guess kind of keep us on this like path that I saw. But I thought like, okay, I could relax more. It's not as serious
Yeah.
or as and like even like this mindset I have now, I kind of wish I had that mindset even back long ago when I did have the larger group.
Yeah.
Because I at that time I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? I had to go through the development and like see how everything develops and see how even the industry develops. See how the industry developed. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, like there is definitely things I could have handled differently, but everything happens for a reason, and I still love actually where everybody is because where everybody's still doing their thing. It's just when time's right, it's gonna come together.
How's your merchandise going?
Oh man, my merchandise is so interesting. My merchandise because I always try to do some experiments with like how I bundle them or what I use is maybe like a loss leader where it's like okay, let's bring attention to this event or this specific album by giving away a free piece of merch this way. And there's a few ideas. I don't want to give out too much sauce, but I'm thinking of doing things like kind of like working like the QR code game a little bit, where I want the merchandise to have somewhere on it a QR code that people could scan and a QR code that where the destination may
Good
never change at
idea.
any time.
Great
You know what I
idea.
mean? And then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, if you're a merch holder, scan your barcode now. There's a private link to like a third of the album that you can stream for like a day or two. You know what I'm saying? And
Great
now
idea.
people like when they buy the merch, they're like, okay, this has more value than me just wearing it. Like I get an inside scoop on the Marvillous brand, and I think that's kind of where that's one of the cool ideas I have going on right now. I'm working on. Oh man, but yeah, I'm like burning through money, like buying samples and making sure these
Yeah.
things work. Like learning how QR codes actually print on stuff, and if they're scannable, is like, oh, okay, a little experimentation that's
Is
really
it doable? Is it something in the pipeline then?
it's absolutely doable, but you definitely can't really make the background transparent. It still has to have like a white back. It tends like you have a white background with the little black dot designs. It seems to work a lot better that way instead of trying to be too fancy and like kind of have like a transparent code with like if you like for them if like a red sweater
Yeah.
and you want to put the code on there, you still kind of gotta have that white background to the code, or it's hard to scan. So it's interesting. I'm experimenting.
What you currently working on? What you currently working on musically?
Oh man,
I noticed
the thing
you
that
have
comes
got an
to
extensive catalog on, just so people
yeah,
know, on Spotify. You can see from like 2017 you started more digitally uploading your music. You've had quite a few
yeah,
releases in 2020 and 2021.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
is there something that you're actually working on that's people that know you see you across social media will see you laying a beat, your violin, and then vocals? Is there something in the pipeline?
Yeah,
Is that something
absolutely, absolutely.
you're practicing, or you're giving a little bit of
It's
a little
funny.
tiny bit out?
Um, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been in the making, honestly, for over a decade. Because, like I said earlier, like one of the first things I did creatively on the music and audio side was, in fact, rapping and engineering. It wasn't producing, and it really wasn't music as far as like playing the violin.
Yeah.
So that was what drew me to music in the first place. And then only later on, like in high school, and so on and forth, I started doing production. And I just feel like just now I'm kind of like finding how I like to combine all of the rapping, violin, beats, mixing. So it's I know people who've known me for so long are just like I'm sure that I'm taking them through like this is a wild journey of like what's he gonna do
It's a
next?
very smooth transition. With what you're putting on your social media, what I've seen, it's so smooth. I mean, it's there immediately. There's no fault lines, is there? It's just boom, boom,
Well, that's why I
boom.
hope. I mean, what I'm saying is like I know some people thinking like how did he just pick up rapping today? It's like no, I've been rapping since I was like 12 years old, man. Like it's like nah, I've been rapping for a long time. So it's funny because going back to your question of what I'm working on musically now, I play in a band also out here in the DMV area called Controlled Chaos,
Sorry,
and
what's the band called again?
Controlled Chaos.
Oh, put
Yeah.
them on to me.
Oh, absolutely,
Get
absolutely. I
your guys
definitely
on to
will.
me.
Control
I'd love to
Chaos.
have them in the
Yeah, man.
studio. Yeah, that'd be excellent.
It's a Control Chaos with two Ks. So it's Control with a K and Chaos with a K. Actually, in my Instagram bio, I have their at handle in there,
I'll
so you can
find
check
them.
out the page.
Just word
Yeah,
them
yeah.
up. Them
So
coming.
oh, yeah, I'll
Thank
put you
you.
on. Yeah,
Thank you.
the guy who basically is the leader and creator of the band. His name is Jonathan Foots Livas. He's the drummer. We call him Foots, and super talented drummer, super talented producer, just songwriter in general. And like I've been playing with them for quite a while. It's been like 4 years. I've been playing with them, and we're currently working on our second album. Well, it's already recorded. Everything's recorded. Now it's just being mixed and mastered and a lot of post production.
Yeah.
It's been an incredible process. Like the amount of the layers of eclectic instrument families that are on
Live
this is
instruments.
insane. The percussion itself is like we went crazy, like timbales and different hi hats and congos and bongos and certain cowbells, and we even brought in a
Wow.
marimba player, and it gets crazy. This album is gonna be crazy. It's called Get Into It, and our sound is what we call garage soul, which is essentially a mix of pretty much all instrument families to create a neo soul um, taste on of like hip hop rock, if you will,
Oh.
and it's crazy. A lot of people, if you hear our music, it's like you feel that we kind of sound like oh this, but then as you keep listening, it's like wait, nah, but they don't do that. And so as you listen to more of us, it's like we have bits and pieces of things you're familiar with, but you're like this all together is something I've
Wow.
never heard.
Wow. Are you
You
planning on
know?
touring then, you guys?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's funny. The development of that of our band has been honestly amazing. Even to the point now where we actually have management that's not ourselves. You know what I mean? As musicians, has been such a huge help. So, and they're putting together the plan for and between that involves dropping this album and getting the shows going and come this spring and this summer. Um,
It's a natural
this
move,
definitely
really,
this whole
when you've got so many percussion instruments. It's a touring band, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Immediately.
It's funny because we'll see. Foots, he has such a grand vision for the band, to the point where it's not gonna be called a band. It's almost gonna be called an orchestra by the time his vision is reached. You know what I mean? So
That's something in itself that at the moment is kind of a real popular thing. I mean, recently I've been to an orchestra that did Dr. Dre's 2001 album
that's fine. They did the
in
Chronic.
Liverpool, and
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
went to a nightclub that had a 12-piece orchestra that played house music that was familiar to us
Wow.
from 30 years ago.
Wow,
From a
that's wow.
particular club, so it was cool. It was very, very good.
That sounds cool. I gotta hear what that sounds like. That
I'll
sounds
send you some of
amazing.
this. I'll
I can
send you some of the
imagine that
stuff. It
sounds
was
amazing.
fantastic. It was really
Yeah.
good. So you're
Okay,
gonna be
okay, that's what's up, man. So we fit, yeah, we right there in the vibe, man, for sure. Like control, man. I think people are really gonna enjoy this next album. We have one album out, called Let Love. We put that out in 20, I want to say 2019. We put that out, and there was a couple songs on there that were doing well. We got one song on the radio out here for a little bit, in a little competition, which was really cool.
available on
We got
Spotify and all the
nominated.
platforms.
Yeah, yeah, it's on all the platforms. Yeah, everything. And we got nominated for a DC Whammy,
Oh,
in like 6 categories. We didn't win the categories, so we got nominated for 6 different ones, which is like super cool. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is just this is the sophomore album, and I'm really excited about this album because we took everything that we wanted to do with the first album. Even everything from how we even rolled it out, and now we just chisel it down into what we know our fans like, what we know works, and that's why I'm so excited for this next album. So it's like it's just us sharpening the tool. It's gonna be exciting,
do
and
you
I'm
ever?
rapping. I'm rapping everything. I'm saying I'm rapping all over the first album. So, but this this second one, I have some real nice few rap verses. I executive produced 2 out of the 7 songs on the album. So yeah, I'm super excited. I love one of the songs. I'm like very much everybody in the band's in love with one of the songs I produced. Like it's like the song of the album, and I'm so excited for that song to come out.
What's it
Yeah,
called?
it's called Honeycomb.
Honeycomb. I'll look out for that one.
Yeah.
Do you micromanage?
I try not to. I try not to. It's kind of funny you're asking that because you're trying to get my personality a little bit. And it's just like, man. I'm not gonna say I'm a perfectionist. I'm not. I teeter, but I'm not. I know when for business sake, things need to progress. But yeah, I like to do things. I like to see things done in a certain way, in a certain time. And I'm definitely one of those guys who's like, all right, if I want to get it done right, I'm gonna do it myself. Um, so patience is something I work on,
Yeah.
a lot.
Do you find yourself
Um,
spreading yourself too thinly?
that's a great question. I used to always have, not used to, that wasn't specifically an issue I had for quite some time. Pretty much most of my life up until about 2017. And it's funny because now I see myself kind of like, it's just because I'm such a creative person. I'm always so inspired. I see myself kind of go into those same little mistakes again, but it's I accepted it now, so I just manage it better. But one of the biggest things for me in my life, which what it was being in school, and how much that clashed with me wanting to pursue a music career.
Yeah.
For the entirety of my life, everything before 2017 that I accomplished in music was me just using 50% of myself. Like I wasn't even doing 100%, and that was a huge question I always have for myself was like, okay, what would it be like if I actually did music 100%? Like, what would happen?
Yeah.
And
What would
so
it
when I
look
had
like?
finally got my bachelor's degree, right, and I got my bachelor's degree in 2017, I finally finished. It took me 8 years to get it because I went through 3 schools.
Wow.
I
What
finally
did you?
finished it. Sorry.
Sorry, it's okay. Go on.
Oh
Your
yeah,
bachelor's degree.
2017. I finished my degree in architecture. I was thinking about doing grad school. Well, I wasn't thinking about grad school. Everybody else was asking me if I wanted to do grad school. Ironically, I graduated at the top of my class too. Like I was
Oh,
the top of my architecture department. And
congratulations.
thank you, I appreciate that. So my professor was like, "Yo, you can be a good architect. So I'm like, why don't you go to grad school and do it?" I'm just like, man, look. And this is it's kind of funny because I was graduating 4 months after I had that kind of big break with playing live at Wale. So it's crazy how the timing happened. It was like, okay. And that's when everything started going crazy too. Like I was
Yeah.
getting offers to do all kinds of weddings and birthdays and other recordings. And I was just like, man, okay, if there's ever a time for me to try this, it's now.
It's
You know
now.
what I mean? It has to be now. Like there's
You have
no
your backup.
way. Yeah, yeah,
You
you
have
know,
your backup.
it's done. It's
Yeah,
done.
done.
So now my mom's happy because she was pushing me for 10 years to get this bachelor's degree. I feel like I got my security blanket a little bit now.
Yeah.
So and I clearly have the signs in my life and from God that, like, you know, you should probably give this a shot and see what happens. So in
I think you made the right
2017 was the
move.
first time. Yep, first time ever in my life I did music 100%, and it's like I said, I've been doing this 9 to 5 business since 2017. I never looked back. You know what I'm saying? It's been
Well,
a
we're running
blessing.
out of time. We're running out of time, my man. So, anybody you want to give shouts out to? It's been an amazing interview.
Thank you, thank you. Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna shout out to the band Control Chaos. Shout out to everybody over there. Yeah, shout out to the homies back in New York, New Rochelle. Shout out to Third and Knife. Len Lama, Jesse Scott. Shout out to John Fords, Loveless, Han Show. Shout out to my boy Rich. He's getting married soon. Yeah, shout out to my sisters. Shout out to oh man, shout out to my fiance and my daughter Zendaya. And yeah, man, shout out to everybody out there that's trying to get it, man. Trying to just, put it together as you go along. That's what
Yeah.
it's all about.
Yeah. I just want to give myself
Real.
want to give a quick shout out to Iron Throne Radio and my girl, Strong Jewel. Keep doing what you're doing, girl. You're doing fantastic.
Hey.
Been an absolute pleasure talking to you, my man. Thank you very
Yeah,
much
absolutely,
indeed.
man.
You take
Salute,
care.
man.
Thank you very much.
No doubt. Peace.
Yeah.